It's not unusual for councils to be divided over new development proposals. But the situation in Ararat in Western Victoria is so bad, police were asked to attend the last council meeting. Danny Morgan travelled to Ararat to find out what's going on.
Locals say there's an ill wind blowing through the town of Ararat.
We've gone virtually from being the gem of the rural councils to almost a basket case.
Poisonous relations between councillors and the resignations of 5 senior staff has many people worried about the council's ability to function. Local GP Dr Graham Berto is one of a number of local business owners to publicly raise concerns.
It's probably looking more at a council that's increasingly dysfunctional.
One of the major problems, he says, is the conduct of the Mayor, Andrea Marion. The state government's municipal watchdog recently charged the Mayor with 3 counts of conflict of interest and 1 count of misusing her position to gain or attempt to gain advantage. The latter carries a maximum penalty of 5 years jail. Councillor Marion says the charges relate to her work as a private planning consultant. She made a submission to council on a planning matter on behalf of a client.
That was my mistake. I took guidance from the MAV and I also took guidance from our Mayor at the time that was a reasonable and permissible thing to do. Well, silly me for taking guidance, you know.
4 of the other 6 councillors have now called on the Mayor to step aside until the charges are heard. At last month's council meeting, they passed a motion of no confidence in her.
I believe the Mayor should stand aside or take leave of absence. That's not to make any comment on the Mayor's guilt or innocence. It's purely a due process and what I believe is the right course for good governance of this community.
But Councillor Marion isn't budging.
They wanted to hang me out to dry. Well, bully, they've had their day. I think that everyone's got the right to be considered innocent until proven guilty.
By all reports, the atmosphere at last month's council meeting was especially tense. More than 40 people crammed into the small council chambers, many of them concerned business owners. For the first time in anyone's memory, 3 police officers were there to keep the peace. They were asked to be there by the Mayor.
I was tipped off that the meeting was going to be a bloodbath. Hearing that sort of intimidatory language is of grave concern to me, both for the council and for this community.
I think it may have been a slight overreaction because I've never been in fear of my personal safety in Ararat.
The bloodbath didn't eventuate, but the obvious hostility has led to fears the councillors will struggle to agree on key planning decisions in the future. When the $400 million Ararat prison expansion is completed in the next 18 months, about 150 new prison officers and their families will move to the region. A group of local real estate agents recently wrote to the council warning that Ararat faced a serious shortage of housing blocks.
That's going to make it hard for, say, up to 100 extra people coming to town to find places to live. It's going to put pressure on.
Local businessman Max Perovich has spent the past 7 years trying to get council to approve a 70-lot development to the east of the town. It's been a costly exercise.
All up, our consortium, our collective group, spent in excess of $1 million.
I remember it well, Max. Still a problem.
He and business partner Andrew Eastick, a local builder, say the Greenhill Lake development has foundered largely because of resistance from the Mayor. Before becoming a councillor, she was the rural city's town planner, and the developers say her attitude has been the same all along.
She's certainly gone out of her way to, in my opinion, to not see this go through.
Councillor Marion says the developers haven't paid heed to the relevant planning guidelines and only have themselves to blame.
It's reflective of the developers' experience with dealing with this level of project. I think that good advice was never sort of taken on board.
Max Perovich and Andrew Eastick acknowledge the Mayor has the right to her opinion, but they say her work as a private planner raises a potential conflict of interest.
She shouldn't be able to vote or have any influence against any other development that's going on around Ararat that she's got no, that she's not working with.
The Mayor's influence is being questioned in yet more ways.
The 5 top people of council have left in the last 6 months. And there's been no public explanation of why that's occurred.
She denies her personal style has led to the departures.
You'd have to ask them, you know, either it was a contract thing or they moved on to, you know, greener pastures or whatever that was. I don't know.
The local government inspectorate has confirmed its investigation into the council is ongoing and goes wider than the charges laid against the mayor. The local government minister, Jeanette Powell, won't comment on the case, but a spokesman says she's watching the situation very closely. Dr Berto says dissolving the council and appointing an administrator may be the only solution.
I think the situation needs looking at to see that if the council's not performing well, that we need to look at some way to remedy the situation.